This is the same dye bath, but different. They just dye at different depths of shade.
Right.
I think I'm going to over dye this blue.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Actually,
it'll make it stand out. And it'll be interesting to see how everything, even the same dye vat, the different fibres take the dye differently.
Yeah.
And that's a really beautiful pattern, and you can reverse it, so it can kind of make another pattern. What kind of colours are we going to go for?
I think. The mohair. I am Amélie Crépy, and I am a textiles print designer, founder of Creative Hand Studio, artist. I design textiles prints and surfaces for interiors and fashion. I'm also working on an art collection focusing on synthetic and natural pigment.
So I'm Jacqueline James, and I am an established rug weaver and dyer. I live in York. Amélie and I met at the London Design Fair in 2019.
I came across Jacqueline's stand at the fair and was totally in awe of her work, and the amount of detail in her weave technique was completely stunning and blew me away.
And we had a really interesting conversation, and we discovered that we had a lot of common interests.
When I first met Jacqueline, I was working with a lapis lazuli, a synthetic pigment that I brought back from Morocco, and I mentioned this to Jacqueline, and she mentioned that colour blue was her favourite colour, and that's how it all started.
Amélie and I are creating a textile art installation which is going to be part of Collect Open.
Our project is called the Alchemy of Blue. It's a textiles art piece, and it will be approximately 7 meters long.
As we're using natural dyes with woad and indigo, there is a chemical process that's quite unique to those as a natural dye stuff, and somebody would have had to have worked out the chemistry in order to make it fix to the fabrics, and so there is an element of alchemy in it.
There is something extraordinary about a green leaf giving a permanent blue colour that's dyed everything across the world for 5,000 years. I'm Jenny Balfour Paul, and I've ended up spending my life studying indigo or working with indigo. I love the magic of it. It doesn't matter which plant you use, whether it's woad or whether it's the tropical plants. The leaves are green. You cannot see any blue there. I think that whole mystery of how you get from a green leaf to this absolutely permanent blue that will last for centuries and centuries is something quite magical. None of the other dyes are the same.
I'm the art director of this project, and also creating the motif which Jacqueline will be weaving, and I've also brought to the table new fibres that Jacqueline's never actually woven before.
I feel very fortunate because I'm not making a functional rug like I normally would have to do. Working with Amélie, she's suggested using fibres that I've never used before in my rug making.
The majority of the yarns that we'll be using is British wool. West Yorkshire Spinners, they've sponsored us and donated some of their wool. Also bamboo.
Rami, which is a Chinese nettle.
Erie silk, linen.
Recycled sari silk. The piece will have lots of different textures and fibres in it throughout, natural fibres. Just loading little bits of fibre loosely on the cards. And you card off, just picking up little bits from the bottom to organize the fibre. And you brush it as many times as needed. This is quite nice already. And loosen it from the cards and roll it up into rolags that are nice to spin from. Spinning is a matter of drawing out the number of fibres you want in your yarn and then letting the twist come in, the twist being supplied by the wheel or a spindle.
It's just individual loose fibres. Put twist in, they stick together. Without twist, you've got nothing. With twist, you get strength very quickly. This is called a short draw technique for obvious reasons. You can also long draw. I don't know if I can long draw this fibre. No, it's too slick. I don't think I can. I can with wool. Yep, there we go. Get a little. This is just letting the twist go in as I draw back. Go a little bit faster. There we go. And then let it draw onto the wheel. So that's letting the twist go in and form as the yarn's spun and draw on the wheel.
Throughout this project, the biggest challenge has been trying to bring hand-dyed and lab-dip dyed for the colours to work together. We've collaborated with a woven textiles mill based in Suffolk called David Walters, and they'll be weaving a piece within our textiles installation, and it's trying to manage for Jacqueline and I to dye exactly the same colours for it to follow through into their work.
So we're dyeing the fibres in a range of colours graded from dark to light.
Jacqueline and I will be dyeing all the fibres in 2 different blue colours, one which is a European woad Isatis tinctoria, and a Western indigo fera tinctoria.
The reason that I like working with indigo is because blue is my favourite colour, and I also find it fascinating that it's a very ancient dye stuff. It's one of the oldest dyes that's known.
Historically, indigo, when it was first discovered, was quite prestigious, obviously, because of being able to put a colour on a fibre. And it was the only dye that would dye any fibres, so you find really ancient Egyptian mummies dyed with indigo. So the word indigo means a substance from India, and it was a Greek and classical word, indicum, indicon, meaning something coming from India. They weren't sure what it was. They got this pigment, they thought it was a stone. It was very precious because there wasn't much of it then, and it was used for painting frescoes and for makeup and things. What I like about indigo in Japan, where indigo's been the national colour of Japan. The word for indigo is the same as the word for love. I really like that.
We're travelling towards York on the A1 to go and visit Jacqueline, who will be teaching me how to indigo dye in York, so I can bring back this experience at my London studio, and I can work on it on my own. Then we can work with different fibres, working fibres, natural fibres, that we'll be using throughout this project. Hello! How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is going to blow shut because I've got my back door.
That's fine. Oh, look at that, the rugs hanging up. Is this your working space?
That's my workshop in there.
Here we've got a basket full of different yarns that haven't been dyed yet or haven't been treated.
They haven't been dyed.
Right, yes. So they're to their normal, natural state still.
So yeah, we're going to wet the fibres out
Okay.
for the dyeing process. Otherwise the yarn will float to the top of the vat and it won't dye evenly.
Okay.
It needs to sink a little bit.
So now we're going to be working on the stock solution to activate the indigo dye. Right, so I'm going to add the indigo first to my mixture. So after you've added the indigo to your pot, we're going to add spectrolite, which is ethereal dioxide, and this are the beginnings of the paste to create your indigo dye. So I'm going to put a mask on because it's pretty toxic. That's why we're outside. Now we're going to be adding 150 mils of warm water into the solution, but really, really gently. Okay, now you have to stir it really softly to make this paste.
So I'm just adding some hydros and some soda ash to the vat so that it will reduce the oxygen in the vat and alkaline water so that I can add the indigo mixture. It'll just optimize the vat, feed it what it wants. Just checking the temperature so that it's at a good 50. 59. I'm going to take it off the hot plate. Let it cool itself down. Okay, it's perfect. You can see it's got a really good color. So what's underneath that is clear yellow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what we want.
Okay, so
But
that's
this,
a good sign.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. It absolutely loves us.
Great.
Right? So, but what we have to do before we immerse anything in the dye pot, we have to remove the flour off the top, and I've got a little container to put it in, and then we can use that.
There's not really much of flour in there.
No, any of that metallic film has to come away.
Right.
Okay? It'll only stain the clothes, the fabric.
Okay.
If you were to put it in there, it would all stick to that part.
Right. Yeah.
And it would be, I mean, if you want that effect, but it isn't dissolved. That's why it's on the top.
Okay, fine.
Okay, just take it out, put it in this. It's just sticking to the spoon.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just get as much as you can, and then try to like tap the spoon on the jug. Put the lid on whenever you're done. No, there's not much. Okay, if there's not much, that's great. So you have to keep. You want to keep your hands in there and gently move it about. Do you want some more? Is it going to fit some more?
I think that's okay. It's going to the surface.
You want to keep it under the surface.
Yeah.
You want to keep sort of gently moving it about so that it evenly dyes.
Okay.
The colour, look, it's changing already.
Okay, shall I now put it out?
What I want you to do first of all is give it a quick rinse in this,
Okay.
just to get the excess, just quick rinse, not taking it out. That's it.
actually from a little village called Lavenham in Suffolk, and it used to have a very strong woad tradition, dyeing tradition, dating back to the medieval times. This is what inspired me, and I discovered more of the history of the colour blue.
There's a local story going on, and in Europe we have woad, and actually woad in the Middle Ages was a highly successful product, especially with wool, because it's there's much less indigo content or precursors in woad than there is in the tropical plants. So in the old days, I mean 2,000 years ago and up till the Middle Ages, concentrated indigo pigment was coming into Europe and used for painting, whereas woad, processed as a leaf crop, was used for dyeing with woad blue. And actually very often it's slightly paler and it's a very beautiful blue. Actually people often prefer that in the West. They quite like the pale soft blue that was being done actually in France before, bleu de lecture. It's a very beautiful pastel colour. Not that the indigo content in woad is the same indigo as it is in the tropical. But because there's less of it, there's a sort of sense that the indigo is somehow different in woad. It's not, it's still indigo, but you use less of it, there's less in there. So you tend to get the paler, rather beautiful colours, and that suits the Western climate, it suits the Western skin. Actually, people love that pale blue.
That's woad, yeah.
That's woad. That's different species to the one I've got. Very different. Mine has sort of taller.
Yeah, it's different. This
different
one
species,
from,
yeah.
I think the same bunch. It's just, I think this is kind of halfway between. Usually the second year it sends up flower spikes and flowers profusely, and until then it's just a flat rosette. But this one's kind of halfway between the two. But woad just tends to look a bit chalkier, and indigo's a bit more deeper, rich. Yeah. First step is to pick your woad leaves, your fresh woad leaves, and I believe picking them on the day of actually making your dye is the way to go. So those get chopped up into as smaller pieces as you can. I know there's not really any indicator that this plant's going to give blue, is it? I think that'll probably do. Then you add boiling water to your chopped up leaves, and you just let it seep for about 45 minutes or an hour or so. Then when that's happened, we drain off and separate out the liquid from the chopped up woad, and we're left with this amber coloured liquid, which we then added some alkali, which can be wood ash, soda ash, washing soda, anything like that. Sprinkle it in, and the tea coloured goes a kind of greeny yellow sludge coloured, and that's when you know you've got enough, roughly pH of about 9, I think. We then needed to add oxygen, so we just whisked it, and as it was whisking away, bubbles were forming, and you can see a bit of the blueness starting to appear on the bubble. Once you've given it about 10 minutes of whisking, we've added the spectrolite, which is going to take the oxygen out of this vat, and we just need to let it sit with the spectrolite in there for about half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, and then that'll be good to put the fibres in. Is this one you want to go in?
Yeah, we can put that one in. And then how long do you usually set it in for?
It shouldn't need long, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Because it's funny, because like an indigo, usually it's like a few like 5 minutes at the most, and then it's about over dyeing, and woad is different. Should we put these? Let's put all those in strong. These ones. Yeah. Because those have been soaked now. Yeah. This is actually all silk, so it should actually turn quite blue, this one. Yeah.
Which was this one?
The mulberry silk,
right, okay.
yeah. That dyes usually very well.
It kind of comes out really teal, and then it goes more blue.
I mean, I see indigo as the sort of one of the most brilliant connecting subjects, connecting people, but also connecting thoughts and ideas. So you sort of start with the basics, that people wear jeans, and then they start questioning why do we like our jeans, and why are they blue, and how do you make that blue? And then you're starting to go into issues of, not before long, you're into issues of sustainability without even realising it.
We didn't want to use anything synthetic, and we want to promote natural fibres and sustainability, and make people aware that there are other options.
Indigo is the perfect green crop because they're now doing a lot of studies in universities. Everybody's eye is on indigo at the moment because you can grow rice, two crops of rice and one of indigo, improves the soil, improves it for the rice as well as having the indigo production, so it's absolutely perfect. But it is viable to be scaled up to a really large scale actually, especially the tropical indigo, which is a leguminosae, and it's a green crop. In fact, it used to be grown just as a green crop. So there are projects around the world now, one of them's in Bangladesh, where actually hundreds of farmers are growing indigo, and women are employed making the indigo, so it's across the generations, the genders as well, which is good. And they supplied over a tonne last year to industry in America. Mm-hmm. And there's a wonderful project in America called Stony Creek Colours. They've got an award for their environmental work. And they're replacing, so the farmers that used to grow tobacco, which after all couldn't be more unhealthy and is not so good for the soil either, are now growing indigo, again the indigo fera, the leguminosae one, the so-called tropical one. They're growing it in the previous fields, they're earning more money as farmers, and again they're scaling up and up, we're talking hectares and hectares. So there could be a really big quantity. I mean, the aim at the moment, I think, with Stony Creek Colours is something like replacing 10% of the commercial jeans that are now dyed with synthetic indigo with natural indigo. Now 10% doesn't sound much, but actually it's massive.
We hope to bring awareness to the commercial issues of mass-produced textiles and our consumption of human impact on the environment. We also seek to inspire others, and one which involves us all slowing down and respecting the natural world.
The thing about synthetic indigo is that it's highly polluting, and because the raw material is made in China and it pollutes the rivers of China. And we don't hear about that because you don't think about the raw ingredients far away. So how many lives is that infecting? How much soil is that damaging? How many rivers are being polluted? Absolutely vast scale. So actually, you can make your jeans completely locally and get colour locally and easily and magically with indigo. Or you can take it a step further and maybe make your own pair of jeans, or weave your own, you can grow your own flax or grow your own cotton depending where you live, or wool, shear your sheep, and then weave like we always have in this country. Get back to that, then dye it a beautiful blue with woad, and then treasure those jeans. You only need one pair of loving jeans and they'll last you the whole lifetime. You don't need 20 pairs and throwing them away. Make beautiful ones and wear them.
I enjoy many aspects of this project. Most importantly, the collaboration with Amélie, when she has such a different set of skills and talents, and when we can combine them together, it creates a very interesting mix to me. And we've discovered lots of different things. We've learned lots of things through this project. We've met lots of very interesting people, and it's just been a real joy.
What I've enjoyed most about working with Jacqueline on the Alchemy of Blue is dyeing all the fibres with her, researching different types of fibres that we can make our installation, and working with other creatives and experts, bringing them together within our project.
Working on this project has introduced me to the possibility of using different fibres in my rugs and different textures, so I can't wait to actually start producing new work with the new skills that I've gained and the added knowledge of learning more about how to use indigo and woad.
What's next for me? I guess I would like to continue to collaborate with other artists and makers to work further into my art collection, know a bit more about natural and synthetic pigments, and hopefully moving more towards textiles for interiors.